Who's voting for Kamala Harris here? Absolutely no.
No. Not possible.
There's nothing she can do or say for us to change our mind.
I think there are a lot of folks, such as myself, who think that Donald Trump's unpopularity is baked in. But here's the deal. If you believe that Donald Trump has somehow become less popular over time, let me change your mind about that. In fact, he is more popular at this point in the campaign than he was at this point in the 2020 campaign or the 2016 campaign. Look, he's still underwater, right, with a negative 9-point net favorability rating. But that is higher than he was in 2020 at minus 12 points when he nearly won. And it is way higher than the minus 27 net favorability back in 2016 when he did win. So I think there's this real question in Kamala Harris's mind, in the campaign's mind, why is Trump more popular now than he was at this point?
Sham trials, convicted felon, coming after your political opponent. Hey, I'm just being real. Sham after sham after sham. Sham after sham after sham. They should be ashamed of themselves. You know, this banana peels all out in the middle of the street. Kangaroos jumping at the intersection, at the stoplights. Yeah. Just calling it for what it is, y'all. I got to be real here. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I got to be real. 2 attempts on his life. And they shaking in their boots, shaking out their shoes, panicking right now because the man isn't in prison and he ain't dead. Prayers for Trump, man. They couldn't beat him fair and square.
Point in 2020 and 2016. And I think that is why you're seeing the sharpening attacks, because they want to put him back down to here, or even there's no way that they're necessarily going to back down to here, but they want to make Trump more unpopular than he is right now, because he's more popular now than either point in 2020 or 2016.
So this could be what they're seeing with regard to with Donald Trump, but could it have something also to do with what they're seeing with their candidate, with Kamala Harris or something?
Yeah, look, Kamala Harris is more popular than Donald Trump. But Kamala Harris had her popularity rising once, of course, she became the presumptive Democrat nominee. Look, she was at minus 15 points back on July 17th.
Yeah, most unpopular, worst approval rating, not one single vote. But again, look, we allowed the media to build a candidate, the corrupt media to build a candidate. Even after the top Democrat said she could not go against Trump, she cannot be on this ticket. Played in our faces, man. And now it's been lie after lie, cover up, brainwashing, propaganda, fake news.
Then minus 4 points on August 17th, then 1 point on September, plus 1 point. She was actually in positive territory a month ago, but she has fallen back down to -1. The momentum of Kamala Harris has stalled. And I think they feel like they have to change something that's going on in their campaign, because they were seeing a rise.
And the honeymoon, honey bun, Taylor Swift high is over with. Again, you see, and this is what happened when you send her out there to speak. When you put her out there on interviews. Every time she opens up her mouth, she can't answer a question. It's word salad. It's repeating the same thing. Can't go off script. All I can say is, what did you expect? Like, they're literally going to have to rig it up or cheat or something to give her a chance, man. I just don't see how anybody... Just saying.
And now it is stalled out. Look, she's still more popular than Trump. But look, Joe Biden was more popular than Trump, much more, and barely won. And Hillary Clinton was more popular than Donald Trump and lost. Being more popular than Trump isn't enough. She wants to continue to see her favorabilities rise, but in fact, they're going in the wrong direction at this point.
The business sector in the Arab American community. And I was really surprised this week to get an earful to hear them say that they would much rather either vote a third party, not vote at all, or vote for Donald Trump. And I'm telling you, it's not obviously a significant sample size, but I cannot find one Arab American within my social circle in business or personally who have said that they will vote for Kamala Harris. When you look at the polling, it seems sort of neck and neck. What they are saying, and this is not a Donald Trump campaign line, that Tiffany Trump's father-in-law, who's a Lebanese businessman, has been successful in kind of converting and talking to people to explain why Trump would be better. Even with the Muslim ban, even with everything else that has happened, they feel they do not have any political clout. They don't have any political operation. The only political power they have is their vote, even if it means the rise of Donald Trump.
That's extraordinary.
President Biden said this week that every president has to cut their own path. What is one policy that you would have done differently over these last 3.5 years than President Biden?
I mean, to be very candid with you, even including Mike Pence, vice presidents are not critical of their presidents. I think that really actually, in terms of the tradition of it and also just going forward.
Unbelievable. There's no way unbelievable, man. You just can't make this up.
Donald Trump leads, particularly among men, by 16 points right now. Why is that, and why do you think there is a disconnect for you with men right now?
Well, let me tell you, you can look at this audience and you can see that there are people of every background and gender who are showing up by the thousands. And I think it is because they know I intend to be a president for all Americans. And that is how I'm campaigning to earn the vote of every American, not only about their gender, but about their geographic location, and unburdened by who they may have voted for in the past. I think this really is a moment, like we saw with the Republicans who are supporting me most publicly recently, that it's a time to put country before party and really, again, with a sense of optimism, fight for what we care about.
Just to be clear, though, men still say by 16% margin they're supporting Donald Trump right now. Why do you think that is?
It's not the experience that I'm having, to be honest with you.
You think the men are on board?
Yeah.
Focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Alright, so I'm sure you guys are aware of this term. We've been speaking about it for years. The notion or the idea of the secret Trump voter or the shy Trump voter. People who are too shy to signal their support for Donald Trump, or people who are too scared to signal their support for Donald Trump because of mostly all the backlash that would follow. People who aren't showing up on the polling data, but essentially who are showing up when it's time to vote. We've been talking about this phenomenon for a while, mostly because, well, you have to kind of enter it into your analysis when analyzing these polls. It's a real thing, and I think it continues to be a real thing, so you've heard me talk about it a lot. This year, we have something new. We have a new phenomenon. It's not just the secret Trump voter, it's also the invisible Kamala voter. Where the hell are these people? I keep hearing about them. Supposedly, they're everywhere, but for some reason, it almost feels as if they don't actually exist. Remember this moment?
How many folks support Vice President Harris? Any hands? No hands. Wow. Okay. It's nobody's business. It's nobody's business, says one man. So there you go. I tried, Maria, and
interesting. Yeah.
There you go.
Wow. Interesting. Well,
a group of diverse union workers, I think in New Jersey if I'm not mistaken, asked if they support Kamala Harris, and nobody raised their hand. Then of course we had a news segment where journalists had traveled from restaurant to restaurant in search for a single Kamala voter, and it took her multiple restaurants just to be able to find one.
We had so much fun, but what was really incredible is in every single restaurant of the people willing to talk to us, we could only find one Harris supporter in every restaurant, and we left no stone unturned. I approached every single person.
And now, here we go again. A pretty similar phenomenon in the swing state of Arizona. MSNBC is searching far and wide for a single Kamala Harris supporter, and they couldn't even find one. It's the phenomenon of the non-existent Kamala voter. Let's have a conversation about it. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks. So let me tell you, if you're one of those blue anon folk watching MSNBC to get your daily Trump derangement syndrome fix, oh, he's definitely going to prison this time. Well, you might be in store for something a little bit different these days. It seems like reality's hitting pretty frickin' fast.
And I should note, we did not find a single person who audibly would tell us that they voted for Kamala Harris. These were Trump supporters getting out to vote early in the all-important Mojave County. Take a listen to some of our conversations.
Well, the difference is going to be that everybody's coming out early, and everybody that we talk to has made a special effort this year to vote, and you can see it here in the parking lot. You know, this library's usually got 5 cars in it. There's a ton of cars in it now.
You said you voted early for the first time.
For the first time.
Why did you vote early this year?
Honestly, because Donald Trump told me to.
what a good answer.
He keeps saying it, and I've been thinking about it, and so here I am.
We met one man who did not vote in 2020, but he said he was horrified by the state of the country, so he is voting here in 2024. We met 3 other voters, one that moved from California, one that moved from Oregon, blue states, who said that they moved here and were eager to vote in a state where Donald difference. And so it's those types of voters that not only Republicans are watching come to the polls, but also
everybody getting out of California.
Democrats have a close eye, understanding that they need to really win the Maricopa County area to make up for any potential juicing of turnout here among the MAGA faithful in places like Mojave County, Jose.
I just got to repeat that quote. Quote, we did not find a single person who would audibly tell us that they voted for Kamala Harris. Now, of course, maybe they ran into a couple Kamala Harris voters who just didn't want to make that public, but I'm sure there's those types of people on both sides. You mean to tell me that MSNBC couldn't find a single person walking out after early voting willing to say, yay, I just voted for Kamala Harris? Not a single one? You know, there's supposedly all this hype, all of these loyal supporters and people who believe that Kamala Harris is the future change, exactly what the country needs. There's not a single proud voter willing to declare their support for Kamala Harris. That's insane, especially considering this is early voting. You know, this is where Democrats are supposed to be dominating. And as of course, you've seen a lot of the coverage on X. I've touched it very briefly as well. Didn't really go into too much detail, but I'm sure you've heard the narrative. I'm sure you've heard the stories that Democrats are down big time in terms of early voting and mail-in ballot voting and mail-in ballot requests. Well, I guess this pretty much confirms it. Even MSNBC says that most likely all these people, or at least the majority of these people that are early voting here in Arizona, a swing state of all places, are here voting for Donald Trump. And you know what that continues to tell me? That continues to tell me that it's probably a whole lot worse than the polling data is indicating. There's got to be something that the polls are just not tapping into. And I think people are really waking up to it. I mean, look at the latest update at Polymarket. Look at this, folks. The odds have completely shifted, actually to such a dramatic degree that in the betting odds, Donald Trump now has a 20-point lead, at least nearly 20-point, over crumbling Kamala. You know, I think we're past the delusion and the copium phase, and now we're in the acceptance of reality phase. I think it's really starting to get to the left, and they're finally starting to realize what's really going on. Donald Trump is building a coalition. It's like I've said forever, the Trump floor doesn't go anywhere. But what's beautiful about this election is he keeps bringing more and more people on. We're talking about Hispanics, black voters, specifically black men, major increases with male voters in general, and we've even got some Kennedy Democrats jumping on the Trump train.
Says he voted for President Biden in 2020 and was planning to vote for Robert Kennedy Jr. this year until Kennedy dropped out and endorsed Trump.
My 84-year-old father, who I've been giving him such a hard time about Trump for years until now, will be here today. And I've had to apologize to him for all the horrible things I've said about Trump.
Because he supported him and you didn't.
He supported Trump and didn't. But because of how things evolved with me being diehard for Kennedy and how Kennedy came to basically say, I need to support Trump because we stand for these issues.
There's something happening here, and I don't think Democrats can match it. They tried with their pathetic #white men for Harris campaign, Republicans for Harris, you know, they tried with all these phony attempts, but it's just not happening in the other way, and the odds continue to move in Trump's favor. And you can tell that it's getting to them. I mean, the desperation has become intense. Kamala Harris is considering going on Joe Rogan's show? That can only mean one thing and one thing alone: peak desperation. They've got nothing. That's why they're trying to rehash old, failed talking points.
Do you think Donald Trump needs to take a cognitive test?
Well, I'm going to say what I have said publicly and will say many times based on my observations, and I think the observations of many. Donald Trump is increasingly unstable, and as has been said by the people who have worked closely with him, even when he was president, he's unfit to be president of the United States.
Kamala Harris suggests that Donald Trump is unfit for office, increasingly unstable. Oh, he's got cognitive issues. All these Democrat bots have been trying to push this into the news cycle the last couple of days, really to no avail, but it's proof that they got nothing. They're desperate, failing, flailing, and really what a misguided strategy. After 4 years of lying to the American people about Joe Biden's health, you know, during those 4 years, Kamala Harris couldn't possibly tell that Joe Biden was in cognitive decline. Here they are pointing the finger at Donald Trump and saying, look, he's in cognitive decline. Yeah, I don't think people trust you on that issue anymore. They've got nothing, and it's so obvious. You know, I think a lot of us were waiting for a big October surprise, but it's obvious at this point the Democrats have played every card in their hand. They've got nothing left. The last big piece that they were trying to run on were some of the ridiculous ridiculous allegations in Bob Woodward's latest book, but even notorious Trump hater Maggie Haberman, a woman who's made her entire career around using journalism to destroy Donald Trump's career, even she isn't buying it. Maggie Haberman says that Trump bombshell from Woodward book, not backed up by her sources, quote, spoke to 20 people. So that's a flop, and so I guess we're back to Donald Trump's a fascist.
But we talked to roughly 20 people who should have had some visibility into this, and none of them knew about it. It's certainly possible that it's happening on some kind of covert channel, or has. It's certainly possible that Trump suggested to people that he had talked to Putin in the past and didn't. All of these are within the realm of possibility. But I don't take that as, yes, he absolutely did, because he often leaves these things open so that he's not ruling something out.
But that's interesting. Even you spoke to 20 people who, generally you would think would know if these calls had happened.
And they didn't. And they
weren't sure.
They were not aware of this. They did not say, definitively this couldn't have happened, but that they were unaware of them. And that's a lot of people.
Yeah, they've got absolutely nothing. Like I keep saying, they're failing and flailing. They're dropping in the polls. And now they're resorting back to this ridiculous fascism nonsense. I guess jumping on the Joy Reid bandwagon.
If Donald Trump does win, there won't be Democrats go back and figure out how to get more voters and figure out how to change your positions. There will be camps. There will be Project 2025. There could be arrests of people like Adam Schiff.
Oh man, this Joyless Reid, stage 4 Trump derangement syndrome. And ever since, I'm telling y'all, man, ever since y'all got on her about having that Trump wig on, she ain't put that Trump wig on back on yet. Man. She took that Trump wig off. This lady is pathetic, man. MSNBC should be ashamed of themselves. MSNBC, CNN, all of them. The whole alphabet order. Fake news. Still pushing these lies, propaganda. Project 2025. They're going to be camps. He's Hitler. He's a dictator. Oh, shut up. You people make me sick, man. You people are pathetic. Joyless Reid.
There could be
Deranged.
Nancy Pelosi being hauled off to jail. I do believe.
Yeah, but we tell her, because she was mixing the dark and the clear. We said, ma'am, below in this walkie-talkie. She's drunk. She's been drunker than drunk. And we say hands behind your back. She gonna come out there and say, Kamala won a primary. We did a primary and she won it. What are you talking about, Nancy? Hands behind your back. She up there shaking, fidgeting, stumbling and mumbling. Yeah. Hauled off in the back of the car. Yeah. Hands behind your back, ma'am.
Believe that this election is a litmus test for American tolerance for fascism. The elements of fascism are rooted in this nationalistic drive for more babies for the state, for a strongman-driven nation, and a deep sort of state-based religiosity. So I do believe we have a media problem, and we do have some of our media that is leading people toward fascism. The question of America has become too soft and feminine. I think that is it's a fascist litmus test. So this question of whether the society is too soft and feminine, it was alarming to me that a majority of Hispanic Protestants agree, but that's not shocking. Immigrants are poisoning the blood of the country. This is one of the most terrifying things that you've heard a presidential candidate say, because it is straight out of Mein Kampf. 23% of Jewish respondents agree with that, because that's straight out Nazi talk.
Donald Trump's a fascist. Donald Trump has dementia. How utterly pathetic. And obviously, not gonna work. I don't think any of it's working, frankly. I mean, if MSNBC is looking far and wide and can't find a single Kamala voter, well, what does that tell you about the polls? It's probably likely that they're well off the margin of error, clearly in one direction. Although, of course, you cannot take it for granted. Never underestimate your opponent and vote like hell, but it certainly does seem that Kamala's support is almost non-existent, and certainly not a grassroots phenomenon. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on
Yeah. Again, y'all. Too big to rig. And there people need to be held accountable. Hands behind your back. And it's a list of them. Y'all know the list. I don't got to go through here and name everybody. But it's a list of them, y'all. You know? And this corrupt scam matrix. It's corrupt, man. But it has to be too big to rig. We're in a fight to get our country back, man. It's Trump 2024. Make sure you go out and vote. Vote, 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 man. Fight, 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 man. We are in a fight, man. And I want to wish the best in all you guys' life before we get out of here. One love to the human race. I want to send my love and prayers to you guys. And hey, I will catch you beautiful people in the next one. Peace and love, y'all.